Awesome. Thank you guys for confirming. Good morning, guys. So let's go ahead and dive in. It's nice to see you guys again. Um, let's start off with any urgent or quick questions. If you guys have any urgent or quick questions, drop a number one in the chat and we'll dive into you guys first. If not, we'll handle pricing right after. So any urgent or quick questions? Yes, what do you got, Petra?
Hi, Andrew. Um, my question is, originally for the unit that Noah present to me is one apartment, one unit apartment, but it turned out that it's not available. So now we have to go with like a two-unit apartment. And
Yeah,
so the pricing is different. I just want to make sure that, the pricing is still working. And how do you look on the spreadsheet? I put the number on the spreadsheet. I don't know if you want me to share the screen or where do you look at the number? I
I
should,
can share mine.
yeah.
I'll have the same one as you. You're in Mesa, so let me pull that up. And then what is the price of your two-bedroom unit?
Um, Not including utility or anything. It's just the unit is 1,136.66.
1,136.66. So 1,137 if we round up. It's actually really good for a two-bedroom. Let me show you those numbers.
Okay,
That's actually very profitable, actually.
good. Uh,
And yes, I am aware of that. I was actually the one that spoke to the complex, funny enough, before. Um, and they're the ones that told me that they had the one bedrooms and everything. And then once we assigned them to you guys, they said they no longer had one bedroom. So we were confused on the back end for like a couple of days, and then we finally got it sorted out, which was good news. But yes, they do have two bedrooms. They don't have any one bedrooms right now, so that was accurate information. Now, in terms of the rent price, here's your market research calculator. This calculator is the same for everyone that's in Arizona. So you guys all have the same one. I do not have any different fancy one or anything like that. Everyone has the exact same one. The only difference with mine is I obviously have our team lead list here. But real quick, um, the way you want to use this is going to be the main overview page. On this overview page, you obviously have the information that we went over from AirDNA in regards to your market. You have the information for permits that we went over in regards to your market. Then you have studios and one bedrooms that you'll run rent price on with a max acceptable rent of 1725. Then you have two bedrooms with a max acceptable rent of 1900. Now, when we say max acceptable rent, that does include utilities and all of that. So if base rent is 1900, or when you tack utilities on top of that with electricity and systems and software, your rent's probably going to come up to around 2000 something. That no longer works because now you're cutting it close. So you want max acceptable rent to be factoring in systems, softwares, utilities, electricity, things like that. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. That's going to be a 25% expenses increase. So if your rent for your two-bedroom unit is 1,127, if we round up,
37. It's 37.
1,327?
1137.
Oh, 1,137. Thank you.
Yes.
So with your base rent of 1,137, with a 25% expenses increase to factor in electricity, utilities, systems, softwares, and so forth, we can estimate your expenses to be around 1,421. So with a max expenses of around 1,421, 1,500, that obviously falls way below the max acceptable rent of 1,900. So this definitely works, and that's why the projected monthly profit per bedroom is $1,000 profit per bedroom. Since this is a two bedroom, that's an expected profit of 2,078. So it
Oh,
is going to be profitable. So that's obviously great news. Okay.
that's better than the one bedroom.
Yes, because it is bigger, it will perform like in terms of expenses better than a two bedroom. But you have to remember that doesn't mean we just target two bedrooms. The rent price has to make sense and the demand for them have to make sense. In this case, demand in Mesa, Arizona, because obviously max acceptable rent is 1,900, that obviously means there's a demand for them. But at the same time, you have the advantage that your two-bedroom rent price is like not expensive whatsoever. So that's where you hold the advantages in terms of the rent cost. Now, that does not mean, though, that every single month you're going to make $2,000 profit. You have to remember, we're in the business of a short-term rental. Pricing's fluctuating daily, weekly. We have high seasons, we have slow seasons. So there's some months where, yes, you will probably make $2,000 to over $3,000 profit per that one unit. Some of our clients experienced that in Arizona for some of their units. They absolutely did terrific. But there's going to be some months when it gets really hot in Arizona that maybe you're only making $1,000 profit for the entire, for the entire month for your two bedroom, which is obviously still good. I don't think any of us would complain about that. But you just obviously have to understand that. However, what this calculator is telling us that is on average, when you analyze this for the 12-year or for the 12-month span, when you average it out, you will expect an average profitability of around $2,000 profit, which lines up exactly where we want to be for a two bedroom. For two bedrooms, we want to be between $1,600 and $2,000 profit. So reassurance for you, just a great property. I'm excited for you.
Okay, great. I'm excited too. So what should I expect in terms of occupancy rate?
Mhm.
Is it
Yeah.
90%?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. It comes down to how you operate. All our clients usually see an 80 to 100% occupancy rate, which is good news, whether that's them being very profitable or them just, getting through the slow season. It's still a good thing to hold that 80 to 100% occupancy. Reason why is because that promotes you in the Airbnb algorithm. So even if we're dropping our rates and just having to secure a booking, we want to maintain that 80 to 100% occupancy rate. I'll be honest, me personally, if someone in here would like to share that they've experienced that, I haven't heard any of our clients express that they've been below an 80% occupancy, even maybe a 90% occupancy. So I'm assuming that they're all doing very well, and I've seen their calendars. So point that I'm trying to make is that you should as well, as long as you follow and come to the group calls and get the support, which you've been doing terrific at, you should expect that 80 to 100% occupancy as well.
Wonderful, thank you. And after I spoke to you last night, I got the lease agreement, but right now, since it's under personal name, Noah gonna help me call the apartment and change it to the business. And with the start date, the lease start date on March 16, do you think I should go ahead and order furnitures now? Or what do you suggest? Or should I wait until we sign the lease?
Yeah. Well, first let's wait till we sign the lease. We're gonna get that fixed. So as long as the complex answers their phones, I mean, we have a whole backend team that's gonna be handling these calls. So while Noah and I are busy in meetings, there's gonna be someone like hammering the phones nonstop calling to get this updated for you and sending emails for all of you guys. So the point that I'm trying to make is that as long as the complex answers their phone, we'll get this switched and updated. So hopefully that comes back either today or tomorrow with that business name attached to it. In terms of when you should start ordering furniture, um, I 100% wait till we sign the lease. So if that lease comes back tomorrow, or sorry, if that lease comes back tonight and we sign it tonight, then we can start planning to order furniture for a delivery date of the day that we expect to start. That doesn't mean we just order everything. We don't want everything to be sitting out there, because obviously we can't control stupidity. So we don't know if anyone is going to walk around and steal the stuff. So like we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure everything arrives on the day that we expect to get keys. That way, obviously, we know we'll be at the property to move this stuff into your unit.
Got it. Okay. Andrew, are you in Arizona or are you in Miami?
I'm in Miami right now.
Okay, so you fly Arizona, Miami like pretty often then.
Uh, for my units, no, I don't pay a visit to my units. But for client units, I have to be in Arizona. Yes, I will fly pretty frequently to visit client units to make sure that obviously our team is doing what they have to do to make sure everything is moving efficiently, and easily. Sharice, no worries. I'm seeing your message. I know you had some questions. Shoot me a message in Slack, whether it's an audio message or text message. I'll be happy to help you and answer it. Okay.
Okay. Yes, I'm gonna let Aaron ask his questions.
No, no, no. You're okay. You're asking great questions. I mean, we got to go in a timely manner here so we can hit on all of them.
You could take
Aaron,
your time. Thank you.
Aaron, I didn't even realize that you threw a number one first, so I
Oh,
apologize for
no,
that.
no worries. No worries.
But
I was just about to type if I can go next because I gotta run out soon. But I had a question with a guest that just kind of a previous guest that stayed in the beginning of this month for a week, and
mhm.
she's shown interest in on acquiring for like a longer stay, like couple months. And she recently hit me up yesterday asking that she wants to maybe stay for like 6 months in my unit. And I'm trying to figure out like payment because I know a lot of these people when they want to stay for a certain amount of time, they kind of just want like that upfront like value for the month, which is kind of hard to calculate, I guess, on Airbnb with the fees that they pay and then obviously the fees that I take out on my end. Would you recommend me maybe signing like some sort of contract off Airbnb to get her in there to stay for like 6 months, if that's something that she agrees with too, or do I have to keep everything on the platform?
Yeah, so I'll answer this and then I'll kind of give you my insight on it. So,
Okay.
what I essentially mean by that is like I'm gonna kind of answer this for everyone, and then I'll kind of give my insight for your specific situation. For issues like this, guys, we always want to keep everything on platform. So even
Okay.
though we have Airbnb fees and all that, we want to keep everything on platform. Reason why is because through these short-term rental sites, we have their protection, we have their damage protection, we have their liability protection, we have their cancellation policy protection. So if they damage anything, we can go back to Airbnb, we can be refunded for it. If, let's just say there's some type of emergency, whether we like liability emergency, okay, no worries. Airbnb offers us liability insurance. Let's just say there's a cancellation halfway through the stay. We have Airbnb to make sure that we make and keep our money. So because of all these protections these short-term rental sites offer us, we want to just make sure we keep everything on platform. Now, in
Okay.
your specific case now, Aaron, what I would say is how much are you expected to profit for the 6 months, like per month?
So I didn't come up with a number to give her because that's what I was trying to still like think about. Obviously I want to be anywhere. I would be happy with anywhere from 700 to 1,000 for this unit a month. If she was to take it for 6 months. So I mean, figure six that anywhere between, 4,500 to 6,000 for the 6 months, if that's at $1,000 profit. Um, but I don't know. I just feel like if everything is she signs on her end through a contract about liability if things break, this and that, do you still think it's safe to do that off the platform? Because I had a previous guest as well that wanted to stay for a couple months, and he said he wanted to send uh weekly payments, and for me to do that, I would have to like block off my calendar for him, and then obviously he would be, the payments weren't necessarily like on a certain schedule, and like I just didn't feel comfortable with doing that, with taking the risk of, like what happens if this guy all of a sudden now just wants to get out and like, you know what I mean? He was telling me he would send weekly payments for 3 months.
Yeah. In cases like that, you can't you're trusting a stranger's word, which
Yeah.
honestly, it's nothing bad. And yes, it's like, oh well, I have an agreement signed, I have a contract signed. It's a little bit different though. It's between a business and an individual. It's not like it's between a business and a business when we sign with like apartment complexes.
Okay.
When what I essentially mean by that is like, yeah, you may have a contract in place, but if they don't want to follow the contract, like they just leave. What are you gonna do? You're gonna get involved with a lawyer, take them to court, like
Yeah.
small claims court, like a lot of people don't realize it. It's like, yes, like you can do that, but it doesn't come down to the fact that like you can do that. It's like, do you want to do that? The amount of time, money that you're gonna have to spend just to get your small claim back. It's
Yeah.
like it's gonna be a lot of work. Just you, although you'll win the case, it's just gonna be a shit ton of work and
Yeah.
money that you're gonna have to put for it. It's best if you just keep it on platform, save yourself the headache, keep everything organized, official, and professional on platform. Let Airbnb worry about the legality of it, and all you got to worry about is just sitting back, ensuring you get paid. That's how I
Okay.
rather would do it. So
The
that's
only
why I
thing
say
I
keep it
just
on.
fear is though is that she might agree on, paying 25, 26, $2,700 a month. Like, but then obviously she's gonna get hit with the fees, so she's gonna be looking at more like 32, 3,300, and that's why I feel like she's probably gonna say no, and I would lose out on the deal.
Yeah, and you're probably right. Like that's absolutely right. And we can't see that all like that because the good news for you is you're gonna, if you're not already, I believe you're entering into a high season in North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm already starting to
So
get like 3 week
even
long
then,
bookings.
yeah, so even then, you don't want to take such a month-long booking unless, I mean, I know
It
I
makes
always say,
sense.
yeah, unless it makes sense. I know I always say, hey, in the slow season, let's secure a $700 profitability for the month. That's fine in
Yeah.
the slow season, but in the high season, dude, I would aim for like 800 to 900 to 1,000 per month profit because
Yeah.
that's how the clients in Arizona that are in a high, they're just coming out of a high season. They were making, like Charisse, for example, she made, you guys saw her win in the community. She made off of two
Yeah.
units, she made like $5,000 profit. There, both of them were one was a two bedroom, one was a one bedroom. So
Yeah.
she made a lot of profit off of just two units in the high season. Point being is that's on the table for you guys as well. So you don't
Yeah.
want to like lock yourself into such a long-term booking in the high season because you have
Okay.
more advantages from the small bookings. But at the same
Yeah.
time, if you just want the secure money and the secure headache-free stay of like someone staying 6 months, then by all means, it's incentivizing. And if you can make it work on Airbnb, by all means, make it work. And I think for everyone, this is kind of like a plan of action. I think in the future, maybe not right now, but be in a couple of months or once you guys get a really good understanding of the business, I would 100% have you guys want to, or I would want you guys to 100% consider taking bookings off platform, but I would want you guys to do it properly. And if you guys are going to do it, I don't want you guys to do it when you guys aren't ready for it. Right now, to be honest with you, Aaron, you're not ready for it because you need to have a direct booking platform, such as like Hospitable. Hospitable can create a direct booking platform. It can also send that contract that you were talking about and have that all organized for you so that it stays on your PMS software. That way, everything still cohesively works together, still sends your automated messages and everything. Even though it's technically an off platform booking, it just comes through your direct channel of Hospitable. The other thing you guys will need to have in place is like an official agreement and contract that you have on Hospitable. And at the same time, the most important one is those liability and damage protections. And the way you get that is through going through that insurance company that we said covers our business, proper insurance. You would have to go through proper insurance. Yes, you'd be paying like $120 per month just on insurance, but they give you the same protections that the short-term rental sites give you. Damage,
Okay.
liability for over millions of dollars. So
Okay.
I would want you to have that all established before you did something like that off platform.
Okay. Yeah, and I do because that's what I was thinking. Like, I would love to just, get that 6 month consistent booking, but at the same time, someone did just book, for 20 something days, and it's already like $2,100 that's going into my pocket. And I pretty much already, paid for the month plus a little bit more on that rent, and I still have, 10 days in a month to profit now. But it is just
Yeah, that's huge.
a good incentive, yeah, just to get someone that is just consistently just gonna stay with you and get a certain amount of money. But I am approaching a high season too, so I am noticing that as well. So I guess I'll just tell her that to keep everything on platform sounds like the plan. And
Yes.
if she can't,
And if you lose it, don't sweat it, bro. There's going to be more bookings.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Cool, bro.
Okay,
Great
thank you,
work. Keep it
Andrew.
up. Keep me
Yeah,
posted on it, and I'll let you get to what you got to do. If you got anything else, just message us on Slack.
I will. Thank you, Andrew. Have a good day.
You as well,
All
bro.
right, bye-bye.
Bye bye. All righty. Patra, I know you have a few more questions. I know Kelly's been raising her hand for a while. I just wanted to get those addressed. Kelly, how's everything going?
Hey, sorry I'm not on video. I'm trying to charge my phone at the
You're
same
okay. I saw
time.
you earlier. You're totally fine.
Yeah. So, okay, my question is, and I'm sorry, I'm so, I'm listening to everyone else and I'm a little jealous in a way because everybody just kind of jumps in and goes for it, and I'm so freaking risk averse. Um, that that I'm like asking all the questions before I do anything, which is probably not great, but that's how I am. But okay, so you gave me a property and of course being risk averse, I did some research on the property and it's not in a great area. Like there's been
Could you
some
specify a little bit more?
well, there's been like a couple killings in the neighborhood. Like
Oh man.
it's not
Oh God.
I'm like "Duh, I don't even want to rent there. Like, like I'm
Yeah.
scared now. So it looks like it's a high crime area. And again, like the killings that have been recent. So that just makes me
Let me
nervous.
let me cross-reference that because I
Okay.
would absolutely agree with you. That would make me nervous too. Obviously, the good news is obviously you won't be staying there. The bad news is that that's your business, so it's still not
Exactly.
good news. But um, let me do a little bit because when we check Crime Spot for your guys' stuff, we obviously want to make sure that it's in a safe area. And
Yeah.
although, trust me, like where we're at in today's time, there like it's really hard to even in the nice areas like not see burglaries or suspicious crime
Sure.
reports pop up on
Oh
it.
yeah.
But we
Hmm.
want to keep it reasonable. Obviously, if it's stuff like that, we want to keep it reasonable. Something like that is very serious. So let me check it again and cross-reference it.
Okay.
The reason why I say this is because we do have this home. I know the exact property I gave you. The homeowner
Hmm.
that I gave you, he's an investor, and he's actually given us multiple of his properties before.
Hmm.
And we actually have about two within the same block as you, two
Hmm.
properties there that are his. So I'll check, I'll inquire with him as well, and I'll just make sure that everything is good to go. If I am lining up with everything that you're seeing as well, in that case, like yes, we can be a little risk adverse and definitely, look the other way on that property. I'll be honest with you. I know it's been some time since I showed you that property. I really don't think it's available anymore either. I think he wanted to rent it to us because he obviously knows what we're doing, but he was also trying to sell it at the same time. So he's like, hey, if I sell it before you rent it, I apologize, but I'm doing one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Because he likes renting to us. He doesn't want a long-term renter. He only wanted one of us to rent it because he knows he doesn't have to worry about anything, which is obviously the advantage that these homeowners and
Sure.
investors and property managers have. That's why they like working with us.
Yeah.
Point being, so I'll first check if it's even available, and then check the crime spot and check all that stuff for you. But if not, it's totally fine to be like how you are, ask the questions that you have, and be risk adverse. It's totally fine. Everyone's completely different. Some of our clients have had and run businesses before that are very, very successful. I mean, we have real estate investors that have been, doing Section 8 and doing
Mm-hmm.
have been doing, several businesses. We have, people that have just taken risks before, and we have one Section 8 investor who just popped in right now. So the point that I'm trying to make is we've had people that have had businesses and they kind of already have that comfortability in jumping into risks. So
Yeah,
everyone is a little different. If this is your first time jumping into a business, it's
it
totally
is.
understandable to be like asking the questions and be like, hey, are we sure this is good? And cross-reference and check it. That's totally fine. And by all means, do
Okay.
it. It's totally okay. Whatever's going to make you reassured. I obviously want to make you feel comfortable. So if that property is not available, or if it does not line up and it is like like not a safe area, no worries.
Uh,
Obviously at the end of the day we still owe you that property, so we're going to get you that property. The good news is that in your market you are entering into a high season. It's just about to start, so it's kind of
uh-huh.
lining up perfectly when we like get you a property within the next couple of weeks that fits your expectations. So let
Okay,
me
great.
enter our channel, see what we got coming up. We got a couple of deals coming up. If I see something, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it to you. If that property is good though, and maybe there was a, I don't know, missed report or whatever, I'll give you that reassurance for that property if it's still available. But if not, we'll get you another one. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course, happy to help. And I also want to line up a meeting with you just so we can get back on the same page. Since I have you right now, I'm going to do this right now. Um,
Okay.
just because I want us to get us back on the same track, and that way you can ask any questions you have.
Yes.
Let's line up a meeting for, does Sunday work for you?
Oh, Sunday. Yeah.
The only reason I say Sunday is because I'll be honest with you, my entire schedule's already completely filled up for
Ah,
Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. So
wow.
Sunday, I literally have Sunday. It's so filled up that I literally reserved a spot for you on Sunday, and I was just hoping you said yes to Sunday.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. Sunday is just fine.
Okay, I have 10:30 a.m. Eastern time
Okay.
or 2:30 a.m. Eastern time, but I will be coming back from church, so I may have to push that back. I may be rushing, so if 10:30 works, that'd work better for me. But if not, we can put it at 2:30.
Can we do 2:30 only because church for me is at 10?
Okay, that works out fair then. In that case, I will move you to 2:30
Okay.
Eastern time. Um,
Yes.
I'm gonna get you this invite, and if I am running behind from church, I will let you know.
Okay.
But we should be good at 2:30. So I just sent that invite to you just now.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course, I will see you on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Of course. Alrighty. Patra, I know you had some more questions, so let's dive back to you. Anyone that has questions after, you can drop a number one in the chat, but what do you got for us?
Yes, thank you so much. You are a busy man.
Yes, I am, but it's busy is good, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I so appreciate the time. So for let's go back to the unit that we are talking about. I know that right now we have to wait until they get back to us and update to be like under the LLC. What if it's like taking too long? And do you recommend that we just put it under the personal name and just get it over with, and so we can move on to like the next step, or should we just like wait?
Yeah, good point. Good question. In your case, since they've already sent the lease, they just got to make a small tweak, which will get it back to us within the day or tomorrow. There's no point in having us just do it under our personal name because we're going to get it back anyway. So we'll just have them add the business name and then sign it. If we were in the beginning phase and you're like, hey, Andrew, like I want this back like ASAP, I need this property like as soon as you possibly can, then I would bring up the opportunity of like, hey, if you want to move quicker, you could do it under your personal name. I'll get confirmation that they'll let you operate it as a business and that they'll let you put in your personal name. But let me just get clarification. And if this was in the earlier stage, then yes, I would have said like, if you told me that right now, I'd be like, all right, that's what you want. Yeah, let's do it. Let's process it under personal name and get it going. But in this case, since they've already sent you the lease, we just need them to update it. There's no point. They're going to get it back to us today or tomorrow anyways.
Okay, great. And the other thing is, my plan for this year is I want to get like 10 plus 10, 20 units for this year. But I want to see like how it's performed in Mesa first for me to give like confidence to like get the next unit. But
Absolutely.
I already started to look for like potential, other unit. And it just happened that I know the owner of an apartment in Greensboro, and his location is like close to University Hospital and close to like I think Walmart or something. I don't remember. Or actually Costco or whatever. I don't remember.
Mhm.
So how do you suggest me to talk to the person? I mean, I already mentioned to him that, hey, do you accept like corporate leasing? And he said normally they want, and he giving the same reason because of they want because of it's like under the business they want to have a
Under
personal.
personal.
Yeah, right. But they said they can work something out. I mean, he said that, right? But I haven't mentioned, I just talk about like corporate housing. I didn't mention that it's gonna be on Airbnb, on like whatever. How do you suggest me to talk to the person that?
Do you know him personally, or is it more so like you somewhat know him? Like, do you have a good relationship with the person?
Yeah, I knew this guy for about 5, 6 years, and we've been communicating. At first, we were gonna. I wanted to do apartment, right, before I get to Airbnb. So I was talking to him about that. But he has his apartment for like many years already. So I know the person personally, but I know that like if I tell him about idea of something, he's gonna jump into it instead of me doing it.
Yeah, in that case, what I would do is I would be very professional. But if this was like a very, very close friend or family member, then you can be very transparent, be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on Airbnb. We're going to cater, find travel professionals, blah, 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 and just keep it super casual. But since this is more of an associate that you've known for some time, I would still keep it professional because obviously, business is business. So what I would do is I would just follow what we have in the pitch. So since you've already expressed, like, hey, do you accept corporate leases? Hey, we're willing to work something out. Awesome. Let me just give you a little bit of insight about what I would be doing and about our business. And then from there, you can dive into the body portion of the pitch, which is going to go into detail of like, hey, we're a corporate housing company. We cater specifically to travel professionals. We acquire our travel professionals through a variety of marketing channels. One of them is through direct outreach. We call local businesses, we call local hospitals, local insurance companies, letting them know that we do have housing for their employees within the area. We also handle insurance relocations, and we utilize free marketing channels such as Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Furnish Finder, where we're still catering to those travel professionals coming through those sites. Does that make sense? From there, you want to first see their tonality and address any concerns. If he has any specific concerns, they're most likely going to come up with Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com. The most common concern is they think vacationers. So from there, address it. If you have good relationship with them, you can tell them like, hey, like most of our clients are travel professionals. We may get some vacationers, but we don't want 2 night, 3 night stays. We still go after those weekly to month-long stays. The reason why is because a 2 night stay is going to affect our calendar if we have a travel nurse coming in for a month. So we don't want that either. We want to make the utmost amount of money. So we're going to cater more towards a travel professional. If you don't have a good relationship with them or like he's still like an associate, then I would hold off in saying vacationers. I'll just say, hey, like, don't worry, like we're on the same page as you. Like we only want travel professionals at our place because a 2 night stay in the middle of our calendar is going to block off our calendar for a travel nurse staying a month. So we're very specific in the clientele that we bring in. We have specific rules. We have specific process and policies that we have in place to ensure that even on these sites, we have only travel professionals coming in. That gives them the reassurance that like, okay, fine, we can work something out. So that's how I'll go about handling that. Since you do know this person, again, if he can put your personal name and your business name on the lease, that would be the best case scenario. If it's only your personal name, if you feel comfortable doing that, you can. Like we discussed last time on our call, we went over the risks that come in with signing in your personal name. The only risk that you have is that if you do not pay rent and you try to, walk away from the lease, they can come after you personally. The protection you have with your business is if it was in your business name, if you needed to step away and you didn't want to pay rent, which I recommend no one do this, please don't, is that you can file for bankruptcy in your business. You can completely disappear and the complex can never come after you or find you. That's the only protection. But other than that, obviously, we're a professional business. We're not planning on walking away or not paying rent. So we just want to make sure, we stay in good standing with the complexes that we operate with. But that's pretty much what you can do. Before you even dive into the conversation, though, that way you're not wasting his time or your time. I would first check the stuff to ensure that this market is good. I'm not familiar with that market whatsoever. So I unfortunately cannot give you insight. But what I could give you is the confidence to run the insight yourself or to get insight for yourself. Maybe you know the market a little bit better than I do. Obviously, it seems like it's in a good location. We just need to verify that we can operate a short-term rental there. Since we are going to be on these channels on the complexes, although we say we're using all these marketing channels, it's just a selling point. At the end of the day, we're going to be primarily using the short-term free marketing channels. Eventually, once you grow to a higher level, we can do direct offsite bookings like Aaron wants to kind of do and what some of our clients want to do. You can kind of do that. But once you get to like a higher level, once you get more established, starting off, I wouldn't recommend it. So the point that I'm trying to get to is just make sure you run your due diligence on the location before you start even getting into the conversation of taking a property. Make sure that regulations work. Make sure we can operate a short-term rental there. If all you need is a permit, that's fine. And make sure that there's demand and that the market lines up with what our expectations are. Make sure it's not seasonal. Make sure there's a demand. Make sure there's an occupancy. Make sure it's not oversaturated. Everything that we taught you in Module 1 market research. If you want support, you can ask No on one of your one-on-one meetings, and maybe you guys can run, that search and then due diligence on it, and maybe you can get a little bit insight from there. But if not, don't hold off to one of those meetings. Try, going over it. If not, we do have a little bit of time. Maybe we can run it together actually right now. Before we do that, though, yeah, actually we have 20 minutes. Let's you and I can do it together right now. That'll be a good learning thing. But before we do that, let me just see. Do you have any other questions on that? Did that kind of make sense?
So even though the apartment is located like near university, which is about 10 minutes, and then and hospital, but it doesn't mean that it will be guaranteed that it's going to be a good market. And I mean,
Correct.
university too. And I think
Correct.
it's to FedEx, some type of corporation.
Yeah,
And when I take
these
a
are all good indicators. But yeah, we still want to check. We still want to check, and we'll do it right now too. We'll check together.
okay, sure.
Cool. Does anyone else have any questions before we do this?
Nah,
Daniel, you good?
no questions. Just
Alrighty. Cool. Alrighty, awesome. Petra, it sounded like you were gonna say something else.
Yeah, do you want me to, how do I share with you? Should I share what do I share?
I'll share my screen. What we will have time for is I can show you the market and tell you it's a good market. We can also check regulations together right now. But what I won't be able to do, because unfortunately it will take too much time, but you can do this on your end, is we won't be able to run numbers on the market. So I wouldn't be able to tell you what the max acceptable rent is in this particular market. That is something you'll have to run. Or if maybe we get a little bit of time on Friday, we can do this on Friday for our Friday group call. But what we could do today is we can at least check regulations in the property, okay?
Yes. It's in Greensboro.
Give me one sec. Could you type that in the chat? Could you give me the market and state in the chat, or city, state in the chat, please? I'm gonna get everything ready to run this for you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Second, let me get the address.
I don't need the specific address to the property, just the city and state.
Oh, okay, it's Greens. Let me type it into the chat. Greensboro, North Carolina.
Greens.
Let's see. It close to University of let me see. I asked ChatGPT about what is it?
I use ChatGPT too for some of this stuff, so no worries. Greensboro, let's see. Let me share my screen. I just realized I wasn't sharing. So all I did was on AirDNA, I typed in Greensboro, just like here. So it's a submarket in North Carolina. Let me zoom out a little bit. So it looks like it's near Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte. So, all right, here we go. So it looks like based off the factors that we look at, we want to look at a few things. We want to look at rental demand, seasonality, and total active listings and occupancy. So if you look here, we can see, oh, not investability. In rental demand, we can see that there's an 80 for rental demand. That means that based off the total active listings, there's still a high demand for this particular location. So rental demand checks off. We want to see that it's above 50. Since this is sitting at 80, this is perfect. Seasonality. Seasonality is crucial because goes back to everything we discussed. We want to make sure we want to make sure we're entering markets that are not seasonal. So we want to avoid those hotspot markets that are only popular 1 year or 1 month out of the year for like spring break and things like that. We want to avoid those markets. We want to make sure we're entering markets that are having travel professionals or demand year round. That way, the majority of our seasonality is, or the majority of our years in a higher season where we can make a consistent profit, and only like a few months are in a slow season where maybe we're still very profitable, but just a little bit lower than what our expectations are. So in this case, since you're seeing an 87 seasonality, that means that there is a very big demand, and that it's not a seasonal market. What this comes back to is when you think of places like Greensboro or places like that most people don't really think of or know of, locations like this that show a good seasonality usually comes back from the key factors that you were mentioning earlier, which is the universities, the hospitals. There's a demand for travel to come to this area. So that's good news there. Now, for occupancy rate, we're seeing this at a 59%. That's totally fine. Occupancy rate is usually going to be lower in the markets that we look at. You're never going to see an 80 to 100% like what we talk about with our clients. The reason why is because some of these people, they're not like you guys where they come to, people like us to learn how to operate a short-term rental business. Some of these people are people that just owned a home, purchased a home or whatever. They heard the good stuff about Airbnb and short-term rentals, and they just listed their place on there. They don't really know how to operate a business. They don't really know how to, do dynamic pricing, have automations and things like that. So their occupancy is a lot lower because they're like, oh, well, I just got to charge $150 per night to make what I want. Let me just charge $150 every single day and not change pricing. Because they do that, they only get booked up a few times out of the month. So that's why their occupancy is low. And when you average that out for the whole market, that's why it comes down to a low market. That's not saying that everyone here doesn't know how to operate. I'm sure there's one or two or a few people that do, but because it's an average of all active listings, obviously that occupancy rate is going to be low. But at a 59%, that's not even that low. That gives us that reassurance that at least if these people are at a 59%, we can at least hit our goal of 80 to 100. Now, the only thing I had some filters on, so this is actually going to change. All right, that didn't change. Actually, this works out. Perfect. All right. I was going to say the only thing was the total active listings. Before I had the filters, it was showing at 100, 100 total active listings, but we can see here there's 803 total active listings. So this falls within our criteria because we want to make sure we're entering markets that have between 500 and 5,000. The reason we have 500 as a minimum is because AirDNA is all data driven. So we want to make sure that the data that we're getting is accurate. And if we're entering markets that don't have that much total active listings, let's just say they only have 100 or 50 or below 500, we run a risk more often than not. Most people think like, oh my God, there's only 50 people here. I can do great. You're taking a bigger risk entering a market that has less people than entering a market that has a lot of people. Because if you enter a market that has 10,000 operators, you can at least know that that data is a lot more accurate because you have more people to go off of. Whereas if you enter a market that has less, you're being a lot riskier because you're entering a market that doesn't have enough data pulled from it. So we want to make sure we're very strategic when we're entering these markets. The fact that this is at 803, that falls right in between 500 and 5,000. The reason we have 5,000 as our cutoff is because then you're entering markets that are oversaturated. By all means, you guys can enter markets with 10,000 operators and do perfectly fine as long as you follow what we teach. But why enter markets that have over 5,000 when you can enter markets like Greensboro or markets that we place you guys in that have less than this, that only have 1,000 or only have 5,000 operators, your success rate is a lot higher. So in this case, Greensboro checks out on everything. We have 80 rental demand, which is good. We have 87 seasonality, which is good. We have 58% occupancy rate, which is good. And then we have 803 total active listings, which is enough data for us to go off of. So based
So,
off of the information here, this is a good market from what I'm seeing so far. Okay.
right. When it comes to occupancy rate, what are you looking at? It has to be like over than 50% or how?
Yeah, I wanted to see it over 50%. And most of the markets that we operate in are usually going to be in the 58 to 55 to 60% occupancy rate. To be honest, I haven't seen a market that's in the 80s, because that would just mean that majority of people in that market know exactly how to operate. But realistically, even though Airbnb has been a big thing, you'd be surprised a lot of people do not know how to operate of the business. So most of the markets that you look at are going to be in the 50s. So we just want to make sure that it's above 50%. If it's below that, I would hedge for risk, because it could mean two things. It could mean that, yes, maybe occupancy rate isn't that good, or two, it could just mean that, everyone there just absolutely sucks. So maybe we could enter it, but it's just, we still want to take it into consideration. But out of all the stuff we went over, occupancy rate is the only one we can take with a grain of salt, because it's going to be so variable, because it does depend on the market, but ultimately it also depends on how the people here operate.
Got it. And when you take a look at this market compared to other market, do you think that, because right now I'm talking about this market because I know the owner of the properties, right? But is it might not be the right way to look at, instead of looking at the market first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oftentimes we want to go, and I'm not saying maybe you are, I'm not saying, but oftentimes, and I would agree with you, I would do the same thing. We want to go the convenient route, in the sense of like, we know someone, it's easy for us to get something here, let's just jump in. And that's fine. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if I had that same situation, I would by all means do the same. I think all of us would. But before we jump into anything, just because we have someone there and it's an easy doorway in, we still need to cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure that before we commit to anything, we're ensuring that we're at least going to be successful here. Because yeah, by all means, the ease of getting into a property is one thing. We just want to make sure that we're going into everything, making sure the market's right, making sure the property's right. Now, from here, what I'm saying is this looks like a really good market. Like, I'm actually very surprised. I didn't know anything about Greensboro. It looks like a really good market. So we already have one check mark there. We only have two things that are missing though. We need to make sure that the regulations work, because although this checks out, we can look at the regulations, and maybe these 803 people don't realize that maybe last year somebody passed a law that Airbnbs are banned. I doubt that's the case. I'm just throwing a big exaggeration out there. But we just need to check that to ensure if regulations check out, cool. Maybe there's a regulation here that says, hey, the only way you can list a short-term rental is if you own the property. If you don't own the property, you can't list it. Okay, maybe all 803 of these people own their property. That's another thing. So we need to make sure that we can check these regulations before we commit. And then the last thing that we need to check is the max acceptable rent. Maybe you have an easy doorway in, but maybe his rent price is way too high for what the max acceptable rent is in this market. So we need to check to see, are we going to make money? Because that's another thing, is we need to ensure that it is. And if it isn't, well, because you know this guy, maybe you can negotiate, and if you guys can make things work, perfect. But if you can't, then you're just gonna have to pass on the property, because we obviously want to make sure that you're not getting screwed on the rent price either. Okay.
Yeah, for the max acceptable rent, how do you find that out?
That would be through through the lead list, through that market research calculator. Remember how I typed you in? Remember when you first started at the beginning of this call, we looked at your 2-bedroom in Mesa. We would be utilizing that. However, we're going to need to build that whole calculator out. So there's already a template in the course, in the community. So if we come to the learning section here in the community, I think it's under module 2 market research, or module 1 market research. It's going to be property calculator and how to use right here. It's going to say market research calculator. I do a whole video, so watch this video. It's a whole detailed video on how I build that market research calculator out. You will click on this. You will have to make a copy of this calculator, but you're going to need to fill out, like, all of these are already data formulated. All you're going to need to do is fill out the white boxes. That's it.
Right. So
Okay.
which is, I have to go do research on what the Airbnb in the area they are doing.
Yeah, you're going to utilize AirDNA. Oh, did she leave?
It just signed me out on accident before too. It just forced me to. So
Okay, let me see if she pops back in. If not, I'll just express it and then, jump to another one. Oh, here she is. Okay, cool. There we go.
My
All right.
computer just died on me. So I had to log on my cell phone, but that's okay.
No worries. Totally fine. I
Very
didn't say
healthy.
anything. I realized you left. So you're gonna need AirDNA. So what before anything, because I don't want to confuse you or overcomplicate it, all I want you to do, note this on your end, is I already ran the market research. The market looks good. You and I are gonna go over regulations right now, so we'll find out if the regulations check out. If
Okay.
regulations check out, all I need you to do is go to module one, market research, watch the
Okay.
last video that says property calculator and how to use AirDNA. It's a 16-minute video. Watch that video. I go into detail on how to use the calculator and how to use AirDNA to figure out your max acceptable rent. Okay. If
Okay.
you're having trouble with it, no worries. Bring what you have to our group call on Friday. And on Friday, we can use that as a learning experience and go through it together. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Sounds
Awesome.
good.
But yes, that's how you'll figure out the max acceptable rent. So
Right.
now that we figured out market research is good, let's just do a little bit of research into regulation. So what I usually like to do is I'll usually do Google and I may do ChatGPT. In this case, we're just going to use Google. So we're going to do short-term rental regulations in Greensboro, NC. Now you want to find kind of like when you were back in school and they tell you don't use Wikipedia, it's going to be essentially the same thing. We want to find the established city site, government website for Greensboro, North Carolina to ensure that there is that the regulations check out. So let's see. We're just going to read this. We're just going to now get real-time updates on their permit approval status. So it looks like you're going to need a permit. Oh, here we
Which is
go.
not a
What regulations would I must follow? STRs, which are 30 rental days or less, are subject to these regulations. So here you go. We got them all right here. You need to apply for a zoning permit, which is just a permit. You need to apply for a permit, pay the application fee, and promptly place the permit inside the rental unit and listing associated with your STR. So that's fine. That's just like Mesa, Arizona, just like some of these markets we operate in. You're just going to need a permit. Rentals are only allowed in residential dwelling units. That's fine. That just means that you need to have like a roof over your place. No more than one dwelling unit or 20% of the dwelling units within a multifamily building can be used for STR. What that means is that if there's 100 units, only 25% can be used for STR. So, for example, if you come to him and he already has 100 properties on short-term rental, you probably won't be able to get another one on there because he already has that many. If in his building there's nothing is used for a short-term rental, then we can get it. So that just means that only 20% of the building can be used. That's perfectly fine. A maximum of 2 adults are allowed per rented bedroom. That's fine. We follow that same average anyways. No publicly announced or promoted events that involve more than 2 times the number of guests are allowed in STR. Okay, that just means you can't hold events there. You can't hold a conference or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
No exterior signs advertising a STR are allowed. Perfectly fine. We don't do that anyways. Host of whole house STRs must be located in Guilford County or an adjacent county. These hosts must also post their contact information in a prominent location within the rental space. This is an apartment. Don't have to worry about that. Parking is limited to 1 car per bedroom. Rented and parking is subject to any relevant community standards normally applied to the dwelling units. Perfect. All right, we're fine with that. So the main takeaway that you can take from these regulations is that pretty much everything we abide by that's here, pretty standard. We already follow it. The main one is just going to be this one. You're just going to need a permit. So in terms of regulations, this checks out. If you want more certainty, call the Greensboro City Council. Just give them a quick call. You can literally call them right here. The number's here. Call one of these people, and you can just, hey, can you give me some more clarification on the short-term rental regulations? You can give them some insight. Hey, I have an apartment complex that I plan on getting a unit there and listing as an STR to cater to travel professionals such as nurses, construction workers, tech workers coming to the area. Is there anything I need besides a permit? Yeah, you just need a permit. Cool. But other than that, this is pretty updated. So in terms of the information we have here and in terms of what we have on AirDNA. We know market research checks out. We know it's a good market. And now we know regulations check out. So now we know we can safely operate there as long as we have a permit. Now, the last thing you need to check is just the rent price, the max acceptable rent price. If the max acceptable rent price checks off with what your associate is charging for his 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, perfect. We have the green light to go ahead and start negotiating and take a property from him.
Do you suggest me to go talk to him first? Like, hey, I am going to list it on Airbnb before I do all those research, or do research first and then.
I mean, now before you do the research on it, since you can knock that out. If you want, you can give him a call sometime today and give him some clarification. And what I would follow is follow this script here. Follow the script on sales, and
Okay.
it's called How to Pitch to Landlords Over the Phone. Open the Google Doc and literally just follow the script. Okay, don't tell them, hey, I'm going to list your property on Airbnb. Make sure you're strategic about it. Make sure you go over in detail, like, hey, we're a corporate housing company. We cater to travel professionals, and go over it from there. These are the marketing channels we utilize. Blah blah blah. That way, he has a reassurance. Okay.
Got it. But it's also important for me to mention, like, it's on Airbnb through Airbnb, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. It's important because we want to be fully transparent with the people we operate with. So yes, it's
Got it.
important that you specify, hey, I cater to travel professionals. Here are the marketing channels I utilize, and then you can go over it from there.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Of course.
Do I still have time, or other people have questions?
I don't think anyone has any questions. So
But
you are good.
okay, good. And also there's a town, a city that right next to Greensboro. Do you think we have enough time to take a look at it real quick or I can come back on another call? Because I'm gonna compare which one is better. Because he also have another property in the city right next to it.
Let me verify. I got a few minutes. I can go over it. So I can go over the market research real quick. So yeah, let's look at it.
Yes, it's called Winsome Salem or something like that. It's like right next to it. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. Let me click on it. No, it's not. All right, I'll just type it in. Winston. It's
Yes,
Winston Salem. Here we go. So since I went into detail what you guys kind of need to expect, I'll kind of just really run through this. So rental demand looks good. Seasonality looks really good. Occupancy rate looks good. Total active listings looks good. So yes, this market also checks off very well. You just need to check regulations now for Winston-Salem.
Got it. Which one it looks better? Is this one looks better since seasonality is like higher, 92 or?
I mean, they look the exact same. They look the exact same. The only difference
Okay.
is in Greensboro seasonality was 87. This one's 92. So it's only like a couple difference. It's pretty much the exact same. So honestly, they're both identical. So if you have the convenience of getting a property at Greensboro, just get that. But if you also have the convenience of here, just get one here. But they're the exact same.
Right. And what does it mean, average dairy rate? Is it like per 1 bedroom that what people are
That's just
charging?
average. That's looking at both one, two, threes. You don't really want to look at that because that's going to vary per, there's so many things that go into it. The type of property, if it's luxury, if it's not luxury, if it's a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom studio. So annual revenue and average daily rate, take those with a grain of salt because that also comes back to the fact of the cost of living and in that specific location. If we look at New York, average daily rate and annual revenue are going to be much higher because the cost of living in New York or California, Los Angeles, Miami are going to be a lot higher than if you're looking at like Birmingham, Alabama, or other places.
Got it. And what about annual revenue? That doesn't matter either, right?
No, that goes back to what I was saying about the cost of living.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Awesome. Yeah. In
Thank
that
you so
case,
much.
do a little bit of research in terms of you can reach out to him now and see what he tells you the rent price is. Well, first see that
Oh,
he's
I already
comfortable
know
with
the
it.
rent price. They
Okay.
just renovated the properties too. And I mean, the property is renovated. He doesn't have 1 bedroom available, but he has 2 bedroom. That's like I think the cheapest one is like 1,000 or 950 or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty inexpensive. So yeah. So in that case, I'll just verify with him that he's fully comfortable to let you operate. If all that checks out and everything's good, then I would still run the max acceptable rent to see what we can expect to somewhat profit. And then from there you can dive into the next steps of getting everything going for the lease.
Got it. Because right now I just have the Mesa starting to jump into another property. That's totally normal, right? That's like typical of most of your clients, they would do too.
I'll be honest with you, in two different locations, it is going to be very challenging because you're going through two different locations. You're setting one up in Mesa and you're setting one up in Greensboro. So it's something that you would be, how do I say this? That's something that's going to be it's not going to be stressful, but you're going to be doing a lot of work because you're going to be in two different locations. So it's not typical, but if you have the convenience and it's possible, it's absolutely doable. I mean, Daniel's done it. Daniel, obviously, we launched some units for him in Mesa, Arizona. He also has some properties in St. Louis. He was able to do it. I mean, it was a lot of work. We had to split the team up. He had his wife and his team down in Mesa, Arizona, while he was taking care of St. Louis, but they were able to get it done and they're doing terrific. So it is 100% doable, but it is not something that is typical in most cases.
Okay. Daniel, what is your experience like having a different location at
And
the
exactly
beginning?
what's my experience there in Tempe?
I'm sorry.
No, in terms of launching, because she's we're getting her a property in Mesa, Arizona, but she has a contact in Greensboro, North Carolina, who's potentially giving her a property as well. But she's just about to launch the Mesa one, so she's asking what your experience was like operating in both Mesa or operating in Arizona and also in St. Louis at the same time, like you back to back when you set them up.
Thank you, Andrew.
I mean, at first, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, and like any investment, but we have multiple in each now, and now I have zero stress doing it. Like sometimes people are slacking. Like I had two different photographers just do like I just got pictures as I'm like talking to you guys from another photographer of my latest St. Louis launch, and I don't know how these people call themselves professionals. It's just trash. Like my cleaner took better pictures like of the place. But other than that, I really like that I have two different markets because of the seasonality. As soon as Arizona starts to go down, St. Louis is going to go up, so it should even each other out.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't have any
Great
type
point.
of qualms or like hesitation any longer with launching any of these new properties there. They're both proven. I stumbled upon St. Louis, and it's better than every other market right now. It's just killing it. But I like having two markets. I would be really upset if I only was in one market and I saw how I'm having great months and then it's starting to go down. Like that would mess with my head, even though I know it's going to happen. I wouldn't like that. So
Yeah.
if you're capable, which honestly everybody is, it's really just about like the will and holding it in, like and doing it. I would suggest going in two different markets first and not being scared about it. The system works either way. The numbers that we have, the software we have, and price labs and everything like that. It's going to work either way. Like you're doing your market research now. You're going to go build your lead list and you'll see like what it is. But we outperform everybody. I just got a list. My first place in St. Louis, which is it's in the hood. It's in a bad neighborhood, but the three blocks to the north and 3 blocks to the south, nothing actually happens. And that place just got listed as a guest favorite today. So it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't really matter.
That's
that type
helpful.
of stuff. Yeah. I would as fast as you can, as much as you can, capitalize, put and scale as fast as you can, because once we have more than one property, you're not so I don't know, it's not on your head as much. Like each property doing is as good as the next one. Like all my properties are listed right now, every single one of them. So I have 3 of them are listed for multiple months. So like they get filled up. Like we just our team and what we're doing, if you follow the system, you get the little check-ins with Andrew and whoever you're working with teammate wise, and you follow it, it works. It's not about an if, it's about like you putting in and actually doing it. So if you can launch in both markets, I would. As far as the smaller market you guys are just looking at, I would do more research on if you're able to scale as much in there, or you might be able to. So little people, it's only 800 there. Maybe you could actually, dominate over there, because wherever you go, wherever we launch, we're going to do better than everybody else around there. We're in the 90 percentile. I have a 98.6% occupancy rate across 7 properties right now. Like it's like, at first I was a little scary. I'm like, yeah, but I still launched 3 right away in there because I don't really like to do it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't notice 600, 800 bucks in my account, but I do notice 7,000. So it's a big difference. So
yeah. But how do
will,
you keep? Daniel, how do you keep track of, like, oh, there is an event going on in this city and on the other city? Is it Price Lab are doing it for you?
Yeah, so it's a numbers thing. I don't pay attention to it whatsoever. Just recently, I went to Price Labs and started looking on, like, if you go hover above the numbers, it'll tell you why it's like changing the rate that way. It'll say like, oh, okay, minus 15% because of occupancy, or it'll say plus 15% because there's a show in town, stuff like that. So even though we're catering to professionals and they were trying to stay there for like a week or longer, that's still driving force on the rest of the competition. The hotels and everything else in the area are going to be up higher because there is a show in town like that. So I really do rely on Price Labs. And then the checks that Andrew and Aurelio go over as far as when to adjust them, they really make sense. At first, the first few months, it's only a few $100s you're making profit, or maybe not even. You're breaking even. But getting those reviews is what matters. Like I said, now I have I have nothing but 12 5-star reviews in the hood, and it's a guest favorite.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Besides the first 2 months I only made $200. Now it's clearing 1,500 plus. It's really about getting those getting your name and your listings listed up higher in the algorithm on Airbnb. And the only way to do that is by getting multiple good reviews. So, you drop it a little bit to get those first funds in there. And now 3 months in, and now all of my properties are hitting our target rate, if not more. And even in St. Louis, where it was a slow season, it was doing well. So it's really, I feel totally fine now and confident and relying on Price Labs, relying on my checks. For as far as pricing goes, I check it twice a day, but it takes me 5 minutes. I check it at different times because I started to realize when I get more bookings. So I check it and readjust it at a later time. And then again, in like right after lunch, I just think those are the times that I've noticed where people do more bookings and it changes. So other than that, I really don't check up on a lot of this stuff. I'm about to hire a VA to start taking care of all the Airbnb inquiry stuff, because that's really where it is. Like, where we have a couple problems with a new place where there were roaches just when we got in there. And we had to refund somebody because that's just what it was. I didn't want to get a bad review, but now we have to talk to maintenance. They go in and do a whole clean in there and a check and everything. And I'm confident for the next time. I mean, those little things that, like, it becomes work actually. Other than answering those, it's not really working. It's not scary anymore for me, but it did take a little bit. I understand, like, right first going into it, you're like, okay, I don't know if it's going to rent and when's going to actually make money and stuff. But now I got nothing but confidence in it. I am not going to sit here and say that everybody has that the gusto. I'm trying to think about how you say it, but confidence. But it's really just it's taking that first step. Once you do it, you just follow the system. These modules are broken down extremely easy for you to follow. If you just you follow them to a T, it works. It's not about it 100% works. And if you can go into 2 different markets, I would definitely go into 2 different markets. It's not scary or like, oh, my head's all over here and my head's over. It's not like that. You take it as it comes. When people message you and ask you about certain things, then you do the little bit of research you might need to. And we rely on a lot of AI on there. Hospitable always gives good suggestions. They might, I think as far as the location and the miles thing, I always have to recheck that and go put it into my own thing. But other than that, they answer everything the way you'd want it to. I would definitely have 2 different if you can. 2 different is definitely better. Like, I would look at the seasonality as far as the temperature and where you are to make it like be as easy as you can for the different. But you have somebody that's going to walk you into a place and it's in a smaller market, I wouldn't be nervous about it at all. I would take that and go take the other one as well. I wouldn't suggest anybody that does 1 or 2 to start. I think you should do more. Because,
Daniel, good question for you. When you mentioned earlier about it's only like 800 active listing, you would, if it were you, you would look into it more. What do you mean by that, though? Like, because of its, what
Well,
do you mean?
because personally, I haven't looked into any smaller markets like that. Any markets that I've looked into, they've been a lot more, they've been in the few thousand people, a few different Airbnbs. So I just personally don't have any information or knowledge on that. So I would be like, why is it lower? Is it because of the permits, or is it because of the demand of the area is lower, or is it because it's completely untouched? And that could be it. It could be there are so many markets, there's so many different cities and towns in this area. So I would be checking to see if it was an occupancy thing or a demand in the rental and like traveling, or I would be, we're catering to professionals, so I'll be looking in the work environment, seeing what's growing over there, seeing the economic values, what's going on. That's what I would go into. That's what I would be looking at. How many hospitals are in the area? How many universities in the area? Convention centers are working, type things like that. I would just dive into it more, because if you're going into a market that has 5,000 operators in there, that they're there for a reason. There is a demand there, and you go check on Airbnb and you'll see it backed up by that. So that's the only way I say, like, I would look into it more, because I don't know a smaller market. I haven't looked at it anymore. So when I see a smaller market, I'm like, why is it smaller? What's driving force in it? And I would want to know why. That's why I say research it.
Got it.
Great stuff.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
have
that's some
anything to
good stuff.
add, Andrew, to that?
No, I think Daniel did a terrific job of that. I think literally what he said is firsthand experience. I mean, it's easier for me to tell you. I've done it and I've been doing it, and obviously, like, you guys are learning from me, but it's something different when it's like someone who's gone through the process. And literally, Daniel's at 8 units, I think, if not more, and he's only been with us for like three months, 4 months. So he's absolutely crushing it. So you can get
Oh,
firsthand
wow.
insight from it, from him, and see his experience. I think he did a terrific job of analyzing that, and I think he said it best. I mean, it just comes down to you as a person. I mean, Daniel's been there, done that. He doesn't do anything halfway. He's been involved in real estate, Section 8, other stuff. So he's definitely into taking risks and diving into it head first, and just he knows he's going to find a way to figure it out and make it work. So that's his mindset behind things, and it works extremely well for him. He's extremely successful in all the businesses that he operates. So you also have to self-analyze yourself too. And if you're confident and comfortable, definitely take that risk. I mean, you've already took the risk by joining the program and getting your first unit. I mean, what's an
Oh,
extra
yeah,
unit?
I'm all in. I'm all in for that. I'm
Yeah.
on
Honestly,
the same way as Daniel.
not a
Quick
risk.
question though. And what happened to, like, for the apartment complex, if they know doing Airbnb is doing well, why don't they do it themselves too? Because of the time, they're not.
I mean,
It's real
it,
estate.
it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's up to them. If they own the property and they want to list on Airbnb, they can. I mean, the only difference that you guys have that they don't is the insight, obviously, from the community, from members that you're learning from Aurelio and I, that you're learning from, like the AI tools, the systems, the softwares, the strategies. That's the advantage you have over them. So even then, like, you'll still outperform them. And if competition is even a concern, I mean, it shouldn't be. I have 18 units within the same building, so technically I compete with myself and I do perfectly fine.
Mm.
So competition is never really a thing. It goes back to just following the process, as Daniel was saying, and just following everything to a T and being strategic about it. So you'll be perfectly fine. If the complex decides to list 15 of their units right behind you, cool. Who cares? Like, you're still going to be the one booked up compared to them because of the systems and softwares that we utilize.
Oh, got it. Thank you so much. That's give me some clarity. And what about AirDNA? Since you already take a look at the market earlier, do you think that I should still pay for the subscription for AirDNA, or I don't have to do it yet?
You are going to need AirDNA to get the market research process of it done. Unfortunately, like I said, we won't have time to do today. I got a meeting I actually got to jump to right now in a minute.
Oh, okay.
But you will have the necessary, process to how to go about it, following that community, or the learning material that I just showed you in module 2, the last video in module 2, the market research calculator. Watch that video. I go into detail about how to run the numbers, like as if I was basically doing it on the Zoom call. The only difference is I'm not doing it. You're just following along by watching the video, but it's still a step-by-step process as if I would have done it here. So watch that video. If you have any trouble, no worries. We obviously have our group call on Friday. We can continue from where you left off. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrew and Daniel, and everyone. I appreciate it. I love the call. Yeah.
No problem.
I'm glad to hear, guys. No, I appreciate you too, Daniel. Thank you so much for chiming in there and giving your experience from it. It means a lot. And I'm so glad to hear you guys are all doing well. Other than that, though, guys, before we wrap it up today, do you guys have any last minute questions we can jump into real quick?
No, I just want to say thank you. Thanks, Daniel, for sharing as well. We're just getting started on our end, so it's really comforting to hear that
Yeah.
things could work out.
No
Yes,
problem.
thank you, Daniel.
No
Mhm.
Thanks
problem.
for the
Honestly,
encouragement too.
it's only been 3 months, 3.5 since we launched. We launched like the 30th of November on one property. And once they started getting up, then I was like, okay, let's scale, let's go with it. But the amount of knowledge that I learned from this system, it's ridiculous. So you asked like why wouldn't a property manager or another person do it? Because they don't have this. They don't understand how to streamline it. They don't know that there's 4 different AI softwares that could help us out. They didn't have somebody teaching it, because I have property managers. I own other properties, and I have other property managers where I've switched it from long-term rentals to this, and they were like, tell me how it works out. And then I tell them, and they're like, wow, like, I think I'm going to start doing it. I'm like, well, go ahead. I mean, like, more power to you. But I know that I have experience with this real estate, and I wouldn't have been able to do as well if I didn't have the system. There's no way. There's no possible way. Just.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that, man.
Yes, thank
Awesome
you.
stuff. Yeah, awesome stuff. So definitely appreciate all of you guys. This was a really, really good call. So thank you guys all for coming in. If you guys do have any other questions, throw them in the community. Obviously, Daniel's there. You'll see him. Other people will see him as well. They'll be able to support you if they have the time for it. Obviously, Daniel's running a full operation there. But at the end of the day, obviously, you can come to us. That's what we're here for. So definitely message Noah, Casey, and I will be happy to help you guys with any questions you have. And if anything comes up, definitely come to the group call on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll see you guys all then. Okay.
Appreciate it. Bye bye.
All right,
Thanks,
guys. Have a
guys.
great rest
Have
of
a
your
great
day.
one.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.